Welcome back to the Health Marketing Collective, where strong leadership meets marketing excellence. I'm your host, Sara Payne, and I'm bringing you fascinating conversations with some of the industry's top marketing minds. Today's episode takes us into one of the most compelling health marketing campaigns of the year. Scan Health Plan's Health Insurance is Broken campaign caught a lot of attention when it launched ahead of the 2025 Medicare open enrollment period. You may have seen it on TV or even online. What stood out to me was how well it reflects the frustrating experiences people have in the healthcare system. Moments like hearing it looks like your prior auth needs to be renewed, or this medication isn't covered by your insurance, or even getting stuck talking to a robot on the helpline. These moments are incredibly relatable, and the campaign brings them front and center in a way that feels honest and human. I don't want to say much more about it because I've got the perfect guest here to walk us through the strategy and the intent behind the campaign. I'm thrilled to be joined by Nishant Shukla, Chief Marketing Officer at Scan Health Plan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate being here.
The Health Marketing Collective is powered by Imprella, a communications firm built for health brands determined to lead, not follow. We partner with marketing innovators who aren't just chasing attention. They're building movements. Connect with the audiences shaping the future of care and lead the conversations that move your market. Ready to rise above the noise? Visit Imprella.com. That's INPRELA.com. Let's create something that moves the market.
Yeah, just really excited to talk to you about this campaign. And for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, I really encourage you to check it out on YouTube. But Nishant, explain to folks what the Health Insurance is Broken campaign is all about.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So, first, let me start off by introducing Scan Health Plan. Scan Health Plan is a multi-state, not-for-profit organization focused on senior care. Primarily, we're focused on Medicare Advantage, which is a form of Medicare that is offered to seniors as they age into Medicare. The campaign that we launched this year, the Health Insurance is Broken campaign, is a bold look at the healthcare experience for seniors. It calls it like it is. It doesn't paint a picture of seniors sailing or doing things that we know may be part of their lives, but isn't necessarily part of their health insurance experience. And so we decided to launch a campaign that really spoke to the authentic experience that many seniors have when experiencing health insurance.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about it. I think, boldness is refreshing in what's needed so much in health marketing today. And, it's very refreshing to a lot of audiences when brands and companies are willing to really call it like it is.
Yeah, it's not often that people and organizations have the courage to do that.
Yep.
Um, I think one of the foundational factors for Scan, we were founded roughly 50 years ago in 1977 by 12 who we affectionately call the 12 Angry Seniors. And they formed this company because they were frustrated with the state of health insurance at that time and the state of healthcare at that time. So they were activists. They were people that wanted to affect change. And that DNA is still within our blood, and we continue to operate with that mindset, with a singular focus of improving care for our members.
Yeah, I love that. It's such great context to understand sort of the founding and the mission and that really activist voice. It makes a ton of sense that you went in this direction. What was the single biggest takeaway that you really wanted people to walk away with when they saw this campaign?
So I really wanted to make sure that people felt validated, that they felt heard, that they felt seen, that, we're not just, giving them advertising that, paints a rosy picture on life that doesn't acknowledge the struggles that many of them go through in experiencing health insurance. And so for me, it was really important to let people know that we understand how broken this system can be, and how there are many different pain points that people experience. We shed light on a few of them, But there's so many pain points in as we think about the experience of health insurance. And so we wanted people to feel heard. We wanted people to feel validated. And we also wanted people to know that there's a better choice out there, right?
Mm.
Scan is a company. We're not perfect by any means. We certainly have issues, and we're working hard to fix them. But here's a company that's nonprofit, not for profit, that's aligned with what our seniors want, which is a better care and better health outcomes. And that's really what our focus is as well. It's not about the bottom line. It's not about margins. It's about making sure that that people get the best care that they can get. And we wanted seniors to know that there's an organization out there that is focused on that. It's interesting, right? Medicare is something that has 100% brand awareness, if you will. When you turn 65, you know about Medicare.
Right.
You may not know about Medicare Advantage. And then even if you do, you might not know that there's different choices out there. You might not know that there's nonprofit Medicare Advantage out there. And so, bringing that choice to consumers is important.
So from a business objective perspective, with designing this whole campaign, obviously doing so ahead of open enrollment, you're really looking to attract folks to your offering. And is it part of it, this whole differentiation piece of really wanting to spotlight that experience of a not-for-profit Medicare Advantage plan can offer them?
Yeah, so I would say that the primary objective here is our members. It's always been our members, and it's delivering better care for our members. And so, by launching this campaign and telling this story in the way that we have, it serves as a bit of a clarion call for the industry to recognize that things are
Mm.
broken, to not accept the status quo, and to not let things continue as they have been. That's really the goal is better care for seniors.
Love that. I'm curious, as you were working on the campaign and the boldness behind it, if you did any sort of market testing or gathering consumer insights to really help shape and mold the concept and even the creative that's found inside of the campaign before it launched.
Yeah, I'll tell you the short answer is absolutely yes, right? The reason why I believe that this campaign is resonating as well as it is because it is so grounded in insight and in what we feel our members and prospects experience as they approach health insurance and their own health care. We talk to our members. I've listened to many calls with and many enrollment calls with our telesales reps. What we're finding is that the healthcare experience is so complex, and that it's rooted in complexity. We've forgotten the human nature of healthcare and the human nature of health insurance and what it's intended to do. And so this is rooted in that. It's rooted in that insight that healthcare is so complex. There's an opportunity to simplify it, and there's really an opportunity to focus on the member and bring the attention back to the member and what that member is experiencing.
Love that. What's been the reaction to the campaign in the marketplace so far? Is it resonating in the way that you had hoped?
It's overwhelmingly positive. I'm quite humbled, in fact, by the response that we've gotten.
Amazing.
It's been fantastic. Our own members are extremely excited about it. We're hearing prospects tell us, prospective members tell us that they're excited about it. Our brokers, provider partners, everybody's really, really excited to see something fresh, different, and frankly honest, and that's
Mm.
unique to Scan. And it's been just a tremendous positive reaction. I will say there have been some competitors that are saying, well, we're not broken, or health insurance isn't broken from our perspective. And to those, I would say, maybe not. Maybe you are doing things that are the right way. But by and large, I would argue that, many of our competitors are putting their head in the sand. They're denying the nature of what this industry is and what people are experiencing in their day-to-day care. And we're remiss not acknowledging it, not calling it, not naming it, and not working on it as an industry. And so, there has been, a couple of people out there, that are talking about it in that way. But I would say by and large, it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Well, and that is typically reaction you get when something is resonating in a positive way in the marketplace, when you're going to have someone feel the need to potentially, right, counter position against the campaign. So, regardless of what side of the fence you sit on what the issue is, that can be, right, a great metric in terms of overall campaign performance, achieving what you want it to when you get that sort of reaction from the other side of the fence.
Oh, that's absolutely right. Again, at the end of the day, this is a story that's unique to Scan, right? With the energy, the passion, the clarity that we tell it. We had a wonderful opportunity to tell our story, and it's resonating because it is our story, and because people recognize the authenticity in it. That we are recognizing that health insurance is broken, and that we're not perfect either, right? We're working to fix it, but we're not perfect either. And I think that authenticity is really what's making members and prospective members excited. I will tell you the biggest surprising impact that I've had, and I guess I shouldn't be so surprised by it, is that our very own employees have been so energized by this campaign. It's created a rally cry within our organization. Our member experience team, our member services team, are committed to saying, hey, we don't want our members to have that experience. We want to make sure that they have a very human experience. Our pharmacy team is rallying to make sure that that the pharmacy benefits are appropriately accessed and accessible, and that and people are getting the coverage and clarity that they need. So just across the board, I'm hearing tremendous feedback, even within our own organization, around how motivating, how exciting this campaign is, because it reflects their own work as well, the work that they're doing in their own department. This campaign had an opportunity to kind of shed a light on all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to reflect on a couple of things you said that really just resonated with me. The way you were talking about the member reaction, in addition to the employee reaction, there's a an expression of pride almost from the members. Like I'm proud to already have selected, right? Like I've already made this choice,
That's right.
which is great. And then I love the adjectives you use, fresh, different, honest. Seems to be that the reaction in the marketplace is exactly as you all had designed it to be and as intended. Beyond these anecdotal pieces of feedback and what you're hearing in the marketplace, um, are there any other sort of metrics that you're looking at in terms of overall campaign performance? I know we haven't officially closed open enrollment season yet, so it is a bit early, but I am wondering if there are any other specific metrics that you're looking at.
Yeah. So, traditional marketing, you look at all of the metrics, right? You look at brand awareness, you look at, call volumes, you're looking at all of those types of things. At the end of the day, it's about, enrollments, and our enrollments growing. And we're on track to having our best AEP ever, record enrollment for us this
Wow.
AEP. And so again, that response has been overwhelmingly positive. Now, it's not just the campaign, right? It's a
Right.
nod to the strong work that our product team has done, our sales team, across the board, our enrollments team, member services team. The cat's out of the bag, if you will, about Scan, and I think people are seeing that, and people are excited about it.
So I have to say, you talked about sort of the founding of Scan Health Plan and nearly 50 years. Wow, that's incredible. It makes me wonder though why, this whole notion of health insurance is broken has been something we have been experiencing as consumers for quite some time. And so had it been something that you had been sort of pondering in prior, past couple of years, and sort of what made the moment right now in 2025 for this, bolder, kind of edgier type of campaign?
That's a great question, Sarah, and I want to thank you for it. I will say there's a couple of things that come to mind as I think about this. One, this has been always in our DNA, and so we have constantly been fighting to make things better. As we look at Scan's reputation, right, in terms of how it's performed, strong member satisfaction scores for multiple years, strong star ratings, which is a rating system that members can use to rate their plan. And so, this work has been underway for quite some time, and ongoing. And I think the results have been there for Scan. We felt, this was a unique time for us to tell our story, because, in recent years, we've expanded into new markets.
Mm.
Historically, we've been in Southern California for quite some time. We've expanded into new markets, a few years ago, and entered even a new market this year with the state of Washington. And as we continue to expand, not everybody is as familiar with who SCAN is as some of our members and prospective members in Southern California. And so we felt it was the right opportunity to make sure everybody kind of understood and knew who we were and what we stood for, whether it's an established market or a new market. We wanted people to understand, exactly who we are. And I'll also just say that times are quite turbulent right now, right? And people are experiencing, a lot of strain as they think about their health insurance. And so we thought it was an opportune time to present this campaign.
Yeah, agreed. I see. I have a lot of respect for not only marketing leaders, but executive leaders that see that sort of right cultural alignment, in terms of the readiness for a campaign and choose to lean in, as you all have done here. So kudos to you for that. I also really appreciate the other messaging within the campaign. When you said it earlier, you're like, we're not perfect either, right? Like we're fighting to change the experiences as well, and we're not gonna claim to be perfect, but, we see it, we own it, and we're gonna try really hard to make this the best possible experience for people, and that feels really real too, right? That balances the realness that's coming from the rest of the campaign is, versus trying to sit over there on a pedestal and say, ours is perfect, right? That I don't think it would land in the same way.
No. And we're not pretending to be perfect. That's really not the point of this, right? It's that people need to understand and hear and see that we're fighting. We're in this
Yes.
battle. We're fighting for our members, and they can believe us because we're not for profit. We have no other ulterior motive or no other incentive besides the well-being of our members.
I love that. Love that. You said it earlier, and I wanna dig in on this a little bit further. You talked about how this kind of boldness in a campaign can make some brands nervous and they would never choose to go down this pathway either because and I've seen it a lot too, either because it's too perceived to be too negative, right? Because we're talking about something that doesn't work, or because it challenges an industry that they still have to work within. Right? So healthcare is one of those sort of incestuous, right? Like sometimes it's both your customer and a competitor at the same time, or a partner and a competitor at the same time. And so sometimes corporations or brands might want to say it, but they can't because they don't want to necessarily, make one group of stakeholders look bad when we are all kind of in this together from a stakeholder perspective. So, what advice would you give to marketing leaders who might be listening to this, who are might be a little fearful to take a stand, but are looking at what you've done here and are like clearly nodding their head and saying, "This is brilliant. I want to be able to do this too."
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things on that. First and foremost, what I would say is that this campaign is not bold because there's a tremendous amount of shock value or trying to just be over the top or anything like
Right.
that, right? It's bold because it's so authentic and it's
Yes.
so clear in its voice and in its purpose. And so one of the things I'd say is be very clear, have the courage to be authentic to your audience base and have the courage to tell your story. um, it's often that we feel that we think the member needs to hear this or we think the member wants this. But I think it goes back to understanding, what do they really want? What is the true insight? What is the
Mm,
real unmet need? And be honest and authentic about it and be willing to tell that story and meet the member where they are. I would also say, right, if you're in an organization that has such a lofty mission as ours, make sure that your message is tied to that mission. Make sure it's connected to that mission. And then you're not worried so much about whether you're being too bold or whether you'll alienate people or whether people will be upset. At the end of the day, you're being true to your mission and you're telling your narrative in a way that's clear and honest. And I think you can't go wrong with that recipe.
Yeah, great advice. Mission driven for sure, right? Do not lose sight of who you are and what your voice is as a brand. Like lean into that, stay true to that. But also the other part of it, which is don't be afraid to tell that story or shape that campaign from the outside in, meaning the customer reality, right? Let that inform the voice and the tone. Like so often that experience is the thing that needs to be put into the spotlight because it's the thing that's going to get a head to turn, right? When your TV's on or you're driving down the freeway and you see a billboard, it's like that person gets me because these are the exact pain points, fears, whatever it is that I deal with in my life. You get me, you must have the solutions that I need, right?
That's right. That's right. I'll say so many times brands spend so much time and energy talking about themselves
Yes.
rather than listening, right? And listening to the member and listening to the pain points. And so one of the things that this campaign does is it spends a lot of time talking about the member experience. It's not spending as much time talking about scan. Certainly we turn to scan towards the end of it, but we focus on the member and you know, I'm talking specifically about the TV spot, but as you look at our print media, our billboards, our social media, all of it is member focused and members can see themselves in the campaign, which is, I think, part of that authenticity.
Love that. Do you all have a methodology or an approach whereby you have, like, continual, customer, consumer insights into your marketing, or do you tend to do it more seasonally? I'm just curious, around sort of these, bigger campaign moments as they're rolling out or as you're developing them.
Yeah, I would say it's continuous, and it starts at the top. Our CEO, Dr. Sachin Jain, puts his email address on every single member newsletter that goes out.
Oh,
So
wow.
all of our members have his email address, and oftentimes members will email him, and those emails will come to the right department, and we'll address the members' issues. And so, you know, that's just one source of information. We're listening to member services calls, both positive and negative, on a regular basis. I'm listening to telesales calls. These aren't even our members; these are prospective members. But hearing, what they have to say, and then certainly, like everybody else, we're looking at industry research and things like that as well. But meeting with your members, being present with them, talking to them, being in a room with them, it's just such rich information and such a
Mhm.
rewarding experience at the end of the day, because it reminds you who you're serving at the end of the day, right? It reminds you, this is what I'm doing all of this for. It's to improve their lives. And that just, yes, it's research, yes, it's insights, but it's so rewarding and fulfilling to be with them and to hear their stories and to hear their struggles, but also to hear what they're loving and what's working well.
Yeah, and it takes time, so kudos to you all for doing that. I mean, I think that's where some of the best inspiration, to your point, can come from. Frankly, even in some of the less, um, more of the constructive feedback, right? I mean, those are opportunities to lean in, and as you talked about, improve the experience, as sounds like you all are very, very serious and very committed to that. In addition to really listening to that voice of that customer and thinking about that from a marketing perspective. I'm curious, how has this campaign changed how you think, or has it, how you think about boldness in marketing going forward?
It absolutely has. The overwhelmingly positive response that we've had is a reminder to me that we can tell our story. We can tell people who we are, and we can be not be afraid about calling out some of the issues that exist. We don't have to tiptoe around these things. We need to, in fact, and not only do we not have to do that, we need to, in fact, call them out. We need to spend more time and energy on focusing on what's broken so that everybody sees it. So everybody's excited to work on it. Everybody's going to work to fix it. We can't do it alone. We're going to do our part. But this is why I talked about it being a clarion call to the industry. It's
Mhm.
important that we talk about these things, that we bring them into the light so that they can be worked on. And we as an industry need to work on some of these issues.
Yeah, and that was gonna be my next question is sort of like where do you go from here, right? I mean, it's almost like you've kind of stepped into a new arena and kind of a little bit elevated the bar for yourself even as a brand in terms of like truly owning this and talking about this. So how do you plan to build on this commitment? And that's a big question, right? Because it's there's a business element of it and the commitment and the consumer experience part of it, but then of course certainly the marketing component of it as well.
Absolutely. I think it continues to be, an all-on approach, right? An all-encompassing approach to try to, fix this broken health insurance system. First of all, I'm going to continue telling the story. Members need to hear, prospects need to hear, our industry needs to hear how health insurance is broken. Our audiences need to hear, need to be reminded, they need to see that yes, it is broken, that we see it, we hear them, and we're continuing to work on it. So, a flash in a pan is one thing, but getting people to understand and recognize that we're going to continue to not shy away from these problems, that we're going to continue to bring them into the light, that we're going to continue to battle and fight for them is important. So I think that's the first and foremost piece, is continuing to tell that narrative. I'll also tell you that, as we bring on all of this new membership, they have an opportunity to experience the magic of Scan. And so our member services team, our member experience team is focused on making sure that they're delivering a tremendous experience to these new members, but also to members that have been with us for many, many years. So continuing to deliver that strong experience that we're known for is also at the forefront of our focus.
Love it. Well, if you're game with me, I'd love to switch gears a little bit here and end with a quick fire segment. First question is, what's the marketing hill that you will die on?
Uh, know your member. We say that so often, right? But I think this campaign shows you how you can know your member at a different level and communicate with your member in a trusting manner. So I think it goes back to knowing your member and being member obsessed.
Love that. What's one belief you've changed your mind about in the last year?
It's this notion of boldness. You talked a little bit about it. I think I've gotten more and more comfortable in our truth that
Mm,
things are broken, things aren't perfect, and I've gotten more comfortable bringing that to the forefront, sharing that. I used to think that you don't always have to talk about these things, but in fact, I've come around to say no. Actually, it's our responsibility to bring these to light and to talk about them and bring even more focus on them. Otherwise, they're not going to get fixed and they're not going to get addressed, and the status quo will maintain, which is not acceptable.
love that. What's one thing you wish more marketers would try?
I would say, telling that member story in a way that ties to their mission. So often we talk about, what's our benefits, what's the unmet need, but it's about connecting the experience that our members have to the mission that the company has. And if you can find an authentic connection there, there's gold there in what you can do with that.
Last question. If you could leave listeners with one idea about the future of health insurance and what needs to change, what would that be?
Uh, I would say that there's an opportunity to continue to fight the fight. That this isn't going to be accomplished by one nonprofit Medicare Advantage firm alone. Though we are going to try. We're not going to stop. But the idea is one of optimism, is one of hope, that many people will see this message, will hear this message, and will get energized and excited to help fix health insurance. Because it's going to take many hands and many feet and many hearts and many minds to make this happen.
Well, congratulations on the brilliant work of this campaign. Thanks so much for sharing insights with us today. Before we wrap, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Sarah, thank you again for the opportunity. Really appreciate the time and the opportunity to be on this podcast. For me personally, you can find me on LinkedIn. But again, Scan is on all of the major social media channels. I'd look up Scan Health Plan on LinkedIn, on Facebook. on Instagram. We're on all the major social media channels. And if you want to see our spot, you can go to our YouTube page as well.
Awesome. Love it. Definitely check it out, folks. You won't be disappointed. I promise you that. Thanks for joining me today, Nishant.
Thank you, Sara.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for being part of the Health Marketing Collective, where strong leadership meets marketing excellence, because the future of healthcare depends on it. We'll see you next time.